Since the last video, I added all of the nuts. I also added these two standoffs with the screws. Notice that these standoffs come very close to the gears, but they don't touch the gears. I did that to help hold this plate to keep it from flexing apart or spreading. There's a lot of forces between the gears when you're grabbing onto something, and it would cause the plates to spread apart and the gears to start skipping. And so these standoffs help hold the plate flat. And so I put those in there with the 3/8 inch screws. I also put in these two 1/2 inch screws that go in to hold the motor in place. So with everything in place there, now we are needing to put in the other remaining pieces, which are basically shaft collars and spacers and washers and the small 12-tooth gear. So let's place some of those things in. Placing the 12-tooth gear, the high strength 12-tooth gear here. I'll place that in. And to constrain it, just hit C for constrain. You can choose like this edge here, and that will give you the central axis. And then you can select not the axle itself, but the axis here, the central axis here, and that will cause the gear to be aligned with the axle. And we can go apply. Now this gear will slide up and down. What I would do is a second constraint, where we can hit constrain, do a flush constraint, and we can make this face flush with this face and make those gears at the same height. Notice when I turn or grab this, the gear isn't necessarily spinning, or when I turn this gear, it's not causing this one to spin. I will show you how to make all those move in a separate video. Next, we should put some longer screws through the gear and through this plate into the gear. And so if you measure from here to here, it's 3/4 of an inch, and so we are going to use 1-inch screws. You can get by with just 2 screws. I think in my exploded diagram I had 4 screws. To do that, we just go place, find the 1-inch screws, and then you can place them. I'm just going to do 2 for right now for sake of time, but I will put 4 in on each later to match the exploded diagram. So I can place one there and place one there, and then we can place the 2 nuts. Now again, if you're going to put 4 in each gear, you're going to have 4 screws on each and 4 nuts on each. But for sake of time of the video, I'm not going to demonstrate all of that. So I'm just going to constrain these in, hit apply, constrain this in, and now we have the nut in there. Okay, let's start bringing in some shaft collars and some spacers. So I'm going up here. I need the shaft collar. Notice that there's a shaft collar that is a part, and there's a shaft collar that is an assembly. The shaft collar that is an assembly has the set screw in it, and so I'm going to use that. Okay, hopefully that works. It appears that I did not provide you with the right part. I apologize for that. So what we're going to do is we are just going to do the shaft collar without the set screw, and then realize that I should have included, it's looking for the part that is the set screw part, and apparently I did not include that. So I'm just going to just do shaft collars without the set screw. Sorry about that. We're going to need 3 shaft collars, 1 for each axle. I know people have used more than 1 shaft collar per axle, but 1 is really only necessary if you use them properly. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring in some spacers. And I have the 2 different sizes of spacers, and I have some washers. Notice if you hit control, you can select multiple. I can go open, and I'm just going to bring in a few, and we're going to look at the exploded diagram that I included in the classroom stream to kind of see how many are on each. So going to the classroom stream, if I can find that, we have this pinching claw PDF, and I'm going to zoom in here. It's a little complicated to see, but you can see here I have a washer, I have a short spacer, large spacer, and then the gear, small, and then the shaft collar, and then the washer. So I'll try to remember that. Okay, so I'm going to do that stack right here. Okay, so going back to here, if I can remember, I'm going to put a washer, and I put the washer right here, and then I had a short spacer on top of the washer. We're going to have a large spacer on top of that. Now what we want is this face constrained to the top of that spacer. Okay, then we have another spacer. Let me go back to the actual drawing. I can't remember. It looked like it was a small spacer, then a shaft collar, then a washer. Okay, so I'm going to constrain a small spacer to the top here. Probably the easiest way is to choose this instead of the square. Choose the circular to get the center axes aligned. And then let's choose the shaft collar. And then finally choose another washer. I'm getting near the top. It appears that there's just enough space for that washer. It might be a little tight. You may find if we built the real thing that the washer might be a little tight up there, because it does appear that there isn't quite enough space for the full width of that washer. You can see that that washer goes into the wood, and so I'm actually just going to delete that washer right here, and the shaft collar will be near the top. Okay. So that's the stack there. Now, if this shaft collar is tight, then this whole axle will not be able to move or slide out. So a single shaft collar is enough. So basically, we need to do the same thing for this axle and this axle. And so what you need to do is look at the exploded diagram. Do your best to see the parts that are stacked up. You can see on this one we have a washer, small spacer, large spacer, small spacer, and then the shaft collar. It's the same stack that we had before. There is another washer on the top, but it appears that that washer is too tight, so you can remove that washer. So just use the same stack there for this axle, and you're going to do the same thing for this axle as well. We can't see those parts in this view, but for each, because they're hidden back behind here, but basically for each of those axles we have the same stack of spacers and washers and shaft collars. So once those are in place, then the final video that I'll talk about is some constraints to make the claw move more realistically. So add those pieces in. I'll come back in the next video.